Welcome to night, the forgotten city, beneath the dunes, beneath the golden sands of a vast desert, there lies a city, its name lost to time, swallowed by the relentless tide of wind and dust. The sand stretches endlessly, a sea of shifting dunes that seem to have no beginning, no end. Yet beneath this endless expanse, where the sun kisses the horizon and the stars silently watch over the earth, a great secret waits. A city once vibrant with life, now stilled in silence. It is said that, many lifetimes ago, this city was a beacon in the heart of the desert. Its gates were grand, fashioned from stone and adorned with carvings of celestial patterns, gateways to an empire whose reach extended beyond the sands, to far-flung lands where traders, priests, and kings crossed paths. The streets, lined with towering structures of grand stone, hummed with the pulse of life. The air, once thick with incense and song, now only carries the soft sigh of the wind. Yet, beneath the weight of the dunes, the echoes of what was still linger, faint whispers drifting on the breeze. The journey begins with the evening light, painting the dunes in deep orange and purple. The silence is profound, broken only by the distant sigh of the wind, the faintest movement of sand shifting with the hours. You stand at the edge of the desert, feeling the coolness of the night creeping over the land, and you gaze into the vast expanse before you. In the fading light, the desert holds its secrets, a vast, barren beauty, hiding what once was beneath its golden skin. The dunes move with a rhythm of their own, as if the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting for the past to be revealed. As you step forward, the night air carries with it the quiet hum of something hidden beneath. Beneath the moonlit sky, a faint outline begins to appear on the horizon, a darkened silhouette against the glowing sands. It is only a shadow at first, but as you draw closer, the shape becomes clearer. What was once a city's walls now rise from the earth like broken ribs, crumbling and weathered, their grandeur only hinted at by the stone that still stands. Some of the walls, though cracked, still bear remnants of their sacred symbols, carvings of gods, of stars, and of a civilization whose reach once spanned vast territories. The stones seem to hum with the weight of what was lost, as though the very earth holds a memory of the city, hidden beneath the shifting sands. The story of this place is ancient, its beginning lost to the winds, its end shrouded in mystery. It is said that this city was a kingdom of great splendor, a place where knowledge was revered, and the stars were the guides to their existence. The people who lived here were not just masters of trade, but of the cosmos itself, their wisdom intertwined with the movements of the heavens. The city's rise was as magnificent as its fall, its towers reaching for the heavens, its streets filled with the sounds of life. But what caused its sudden disappearance? Whispers tell us that the city was lost in an instant, as though the gods themselves decided it must be erased from memory. Was it a great flood, a divine reckoning that wiped it from the earth? Or was it simply the slow pull of time itself, the creeping sands that consumed all, the quiet march of decay? As you step deeper into the ruins, the air grows cooler, the silence deeper. The remnants of what was once grand stand before you, casting long shadows beneath the moon. Broken statues of kings, their faces eroded by centuries of wind, still look out toward the horizon. Their eyes, though weathered, seem to hold a memory of the past, an awareness of what was, now lost to time. The temples, though crumbled, still hold their sacred shape, the faded outlines of intricate carvings and forgotten symbols mark the stone, their meaning now veiled by the sands, waiting for someone to decode the whispers from the past. There is no sound here, no echo of life, only the silence of what has been left behind. Yet, even in this silence, the city speaks. The walls, the statues, the fragments of stone, all tell their story. A story of a civilization that once soared to great heights only to fall, not with a bang, but with the soft, inevitable pull of time. What knowledge lay here, in the heart of this great city? What wisdom did the people possess that has been buried beneath the sand? Did they know something the world has since forgotten? Or was their knowledge lost, not through destruction, but through neglect left behind as time and the earth quietly reclaimed all? As the journey continues, the wind picks up, carrying with it the soft sound of shifting sand. The moonlight begins to fade, and the ruins of the city, though still standing, grow distant once more. The city beneath the dunes remains, its secrets held in the silence, its story waiting to be told, perhaps never fully uncovered, but always present in the quiet hum of the desert. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this city, for some things are meant to remain hidden, beneath the sands, beneath the silence, yet still its whispers remain, like echoes from a forgotten world, waiting to be heard when the world is ready to listen. The chapter closes softly, leaving the ruins in silence once again, their memory carried on the wind beneath the moon, where time and the desert continue their quiet dance. The eternal flame of the sacred temple, high in the distant mountains, where the peaks scrape the sky and the air is thin with the breath of ancient winds. There once burned a flame, not of ordinary fire, but of something divine, something eternal. This flame was housed in a sacred temple, its light a beacon to all who sought wisdom, enlightenment, and communion with the gods. It is said that the flame never went out, that it burned without the need for fuel, its light pure and undying, a symbol of the eternal connection between heaven and earth. But now, the temple lies in ruins, its walls crumbled, its once sacred light extinguished, and only silence remains where once the flame shone brightly. The journey begins as the sun dips behind the towering mountains, casting a soft glow over the land below. The air is cool and crisp, the scent of pine and stone filling the atmosphere. The winding path, though ancient, is still visible, cut into the mountainside like a forgotten thread leading upwards toward the temple's distant peak. The forest around you is dense, the trees towering like sentinels that have stood for centuries, their roots deep in the earth, intertwined with the very essence of the land. Each step you take seems to draw you closer to something ancient, something sacred, a place that once held the very heartbeat of the gods. It is said that this temple, built long ago by a civilization long since faded, was not just a place of worship, but a gateway, a bridge between the human realm and the divine. The temple was constructed with the finest materials, its walls adorned with intricate carvings of gods, stars, and celestial symbols that reflected the wisdom of the heavens. At the heart of the temple, in a grand chamber, stood the eternal flame, glowing softly, untouched by time or wind. This flame was said to hold the secrets of the universe, to be the living embodiment of the divine light that guided the soul on its journey to the gods. As you ascend the mountain path, the air grows thinner, and the wind whispers through the trees. The temple's silhouette becomes visible on the horizon, a shadow against the sky. Its once mighty structure now crumbling into the earth. The stone, though weathered and worn, still holds its sacred shape, and as you draw closer, you begin to feel the weight of the history that surrounds you. The air feels charged with something ancient, as though the mountain itself holds a memory of the temple, of the sacred flame that once burned brightly within its walls. The temple, though now empty and silent, still speaks in its ruins. The walls, though cracked, are covered in carvings that tell the story of the civilization that built this place. A civilization that revered the stars, that understood the movements of the heavens, and sought to connect with the divine through the light of the eternal flame. What was it that drew them to this place, high above the world, where the air is thin and the heavens feel so close? Was it the belief that the gods dwelled in the mountains, that the path to the divine could only be reached through the heights? Or was it something more, a deeper understanding of the sacredness of the flame, of the connection between fire, light, and the eternal? As you step inside the temple, the air grows cooler, and the silence deepens. The stone floors, once smooth and polished, are now worn and uneven, covered in the dust of centuries. The grand chamber, where the flame once burned, is empty now, its altar still standing, but empty, its surface marked by the passage of time. The faintest traces of the carvings remain, their images faded but still discernible, telling stories of the gods who were worshipped here, of the rituals performed in the flickering light of the flame. There is no flame now, only the emptiness, the absence of what was. And yet, in the stillness, you feel it, the presence of the flame. Some say that the flame never truly goes out, that even in its absence, its light remains, hidden within the stone, within the very air that surrounds you. It is as if the flame has become a part of the temple itself, a memory woven into the fabric of the stones, waiting to be rekindled when the world is ready. Perhaps it was never meant to burn forever. Perhaps its purpose was always to be a symbol, a reminder that the divine is not something to be grasped, but something to be felt, something that burns quietly within the heart, guiding the soul on its journey. As the moon rises higher, casting its soft light over the temple ruins, you are left with the sense that the temple's story is not over. The flame may have been extinguished, but the light it once held still lingers, carried in the wind, carried in the stillness, carried in the very stones of the temple. Perhaps it was never meant to be found again, for some things are not meant to be grasped, but to be experienced, a fleeting moment of divine light that burns softly in the heart, leaving its glow long after it has faded. And as you leave the temple behind, descending the mountain path, the silence grows deeper, and the night falls heavier around you. The flame, though extinguished, remains in the memory of the temple, in the whispers of the wind, in the flicker of the stars overhead. Perhaps it was always meant to be a beacon for those who could see, for those who could feel the quiet light that burns within. Even in the darkest of times, some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and the flame, though quiet, continues to burn, waiting for the world to remember, waiting for the right soul to rekindle its light. Perhaps in the end, some flames are not meant to last forever, but to guide us for a time, and then fade. But their glow remains, carried in the silence, in the stillness, in the quiet space between the stars. The temple stands silent, its flame gone, but its story, its light, forever etched in the hearts of those who seek it, the lost chamber of the starry oracle. Beneath the shadow of towering mountains, hidden deep in the heart of an ancient temple, there lies a chamber, one that holds the wisdom of the stars themselves. In times long past, the oracle resided here, a figure said to be touched by the divine, their eyes reflecting the heavens, their voice carrying the secrets of the cosmos. The oracle's guidance was sought by kings, by those in search of answers that lay beyond mortal understanding. But now, the chamber is still, its once sacred space long forgotten, its secrets buried beneath the weight of time. The journey begins with the soft rustle of wind through the trees, the scent of pine and earth filling the air. The temple stands before you, though its walls are crumbled, its stone weathered by centuries of storms and neglect. The path leading to the chamber is narrow, winding through the dense forest, its ancient trees reaching upward as if to touch the sky. Each step you take carries you closer to something timeless, something sacred, a place where the veil between the earthly and the celestial was once thin, where the divine was not just known, but felt. It is said that this temple was built not merely as a house of worship, but as a conduit, a bridge between the realm of men and the domain of the stars. The ancient people who built it believed that the movements of the heavens held the answers to all of life's mysteries, and so they created a sacred space where the stars could speak, where the oracle could listen to their voice and interpret their wisdom. The chamber, it is believed, was not just a place of prophecy, but a space where the secrets of the universe were whispered, a quiet conversation between the divine and the earthly. As you step into the remains of the temple, the air grows thick with the scent of age and dust. The walls are adorned with the remnants of celestial symbols, now worn and faded, as though the stones themselves have absorbed the wisdom they once carried. The floor beneath your feet is uneven, the path jagged, as if the very earth has shifted over time to conceal the secrets of the past. Yet, there is still something here, a presence, a vibration that lingers in the silence, a quiet hum that seems to echo from the very walls. It is as though the stars themselves are still watching, still waiting for those who are ready to listen. The deeper you move into the temple, the more you feel the weight of history pressing down upon you. The faintest glow of bioluminescent moss illuminates the path, casting a soft, otherworldly light on the stone. In the distance, through the darkness, the entrance to the chamber appears, a doorway framed by ancient stone, its edges covered in intricate carvings of celestial bodies and patterns of stars. It is as though the chamber has been waiting for you, waiting for someone to rediscover it, to uncover its long-lost secrets. The oracle's chamber, when you finally reach it, is as silent as the stars themselves. The walls are lined with stone, their surface is smooth, but etched with symbols that once held meaning, now lost to time. In the center of the chamber lies a pedestal, once holding the oracle's sacred tools, now empty, its stone surface worn and cracked. Some say that the oracle's eyes could see beyond the veil, that they could peer into the cosmos and understand the movements of the stars, the patterns that governed the universe. But now, the pedestal is empty, as if the oracle's presence has long since faded, their wisdom lost to the void. Yet, even in this emptiness, there is a quiet power. The air is thick with the energy of the stars, and as you stand in the center of the chamber, you feel as though you are not just standing on the earth, but on the edge of something greater, something divine. The silence of the chamber, the stillness of the stones, seems to invite you to listen, to hear the voice of the stars, to understand the rhythm of the universe that once filled this sacred space. Some believe that the oracle's power was never meant to be understood, that it was not a gift for humanity, but a bridge between the mortal and divine realms. The oracle did not give answers, but guided those who came with questions, showing them the path, guiding them toward understanding. The voice of the stars was not one to be captured, but felt, heard only in the quiet moments, when the mind is still, when the soul is open, and as the night deepens, you feel the presence of the oracle, not in the form of a voice or a vision, but in the silence that surrounds you. Perhaps the oracle was never meant to speak in words. Perhaps their wisdom was not meant to be understood by the mind, but felt by the heart in the stillness of the night, beneath the watchful eyes of the stars. The chamber, though empty, holds the memory of that wisdom, the echo of a time when the stars themselves seemed to speak. The temple and its secrets begin to fade as you stand there in the quiet, surrounded by the silence of forgotten wisdom. The stars above continue their eternal dance, their light carrying the whispers of the universe across the expanse of time. The oracle's chamber, though abandoned, still waits, as it always has, for the right soul to hear the echoes of its secrets. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this chamber, or perhaps the world was simply not ready to hear its message. And as you leave the temple behind, the night feels different, the silence deeper. The stars seem closer now, their light brighter, as though they are guiding you, just as the oracle once guided those who came before. Perhaps some knowledge is never meant to be found. Perhaps the true power of the oracle was not in giving answers, but in inspiring the quiet wonder of seeking. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. And tonight, the stars whisper once more, the veiled scrolls of the hidden library. Deep in the heart of a forgotten city, hidden beneath the weight of centuries, there lies a library, a sanctuary of knowledge long since swallowed by the earth. Once, this place held the wisdom of the ancients, its scrolls and manuscripts filled with secrets that could shape the world, its shelves lined with the voices of civilizations that no longer exist. But now, the library rests in silence, its stone walls crumbled, its shelves empty. Only the faintest traces of its existence remain. Dust, shadows, and the faint echo of forgotten words. It is said that the library's true treasures, the scrolls that hold the answers to the universe's deepest mysteries, are still buried within, waiting to be uncovered. The journey begins beneath a blanket of thick, tangled vines, where the air feels cool and damp, heavy with the scent of moss and earth. The path is faint, almost lost beneath the jungle's thick embrace. But as you follow it, the remnants of stone walls begin to emerge from the undergrowth, broken but still standing. The trees around you are ancient, their roots creeping through the cracks in the stone, reclaiming the land as their own. But beneath the jungle's quiet dominance, something stirs, a memory, an energy that pulls you forward deeper into the heart of this hidden place. It is said that this library was not just a collection of books and scrolls, but a place where knowledge was revered as sacred, where the wisdom of the cosmos was carefully recorded and guarded by those who understood its power. The scrolls within its walls were not just books, but keys to understanding the universe. keys to unlocking the deepest truths of existence. The scholars who once lived here were not simply intellectuals, but spiritual seekers, their minds attuned to the mysteries of the stars, the cycles of nature, and the flow of time itself. Their work was not just about recording knowledge, but about connecting to something greater, something eternal. As you step deeper into the ruins, the air grows stiller, and the world outside fades. The walls, though cracked and weathered, still hold the faintest traces of symbols, celestial maps, astrological charts, and intricate patterns that once told the story of the world. The carvings are faint, softened by time, but they still hold meaning. Some believe that these symbols were not just for decoration, but were part of the library's sacred design, a way to align the knowledge contained within with the movements of the heavens, a way to bring the cosmic order into the heart of the city. The deeper you go, the more the library's history reveals itself in fragments. The stone floors are worn by the footsteps of those who once walked here, their presence still palpable in the air. The shelves, though long empty, still stand as silent sentinels to the past. As you move through the darkened halls, you feel a quiet reverence for what once was, for the scholars who filled this place with their sacred knowledge, for the scrolls that were once filled with wisdom that could transform the world. And then, deep within the heart of the library, you find it, a room sealed off from the rest of the world, its entrance hidden by the thick roots of an ancient tree that has grown through the walls. The air in this room is cooler, heavier, as though it holds something ancient, something alive. The walls are lined with shelves, though they are now empty. Their once proud occupants long since lost to time. But at the center of the room, on a pedestal, lies a single scroll, its edges worn but its form still intact. It is said that this scroll, the last remaining piece of the library's collection, holds the key to understanding the mysteries of the universe, that within its delicate folds lies a wisdom so deep, so profound, that only those truly ready to receive it can even begin to comprehend it. As you approach the pedestal, the air seems to change, thick with anticipation. The scroll is not just an object, it is a symbol of all that has been lost, all that has been hidden, all that still waits beneath the surface. You reach out to touch it, but as your fingers brush the paper, the air grows still. The world outside falls away, and for a moment, it feels as though time itself has paused, as though the scroll is not just a piece of paper, but a portal, a window into something greater, something timeless. Some believe that the scroll was not meant to be read in the way we read books, but felt, experienced. The knowledge contained within is not linear, but eternal, and it speaks not to the intellect, but to the heart. The scroll was never meant to be fully understood, but only glimpsed, for it is not a book of facts, but a reflection of the universe itself, a mirror that shows the connection between all things, the thread that ties the stars to the earth, the past to the future. Perhaps in the end, the scroll's greatest secret is its silence, the quiet truth that some knowledge cannot be captured by the mind, but must be understood through the soul. As you leave the room, the scroll still resting on its pedestal, you feel a quiet unease, a sense that the library's secrets are not meant to be fully revealed. The scroll, though left behind, continues to pulse with its quiet energy, waiting for the right soul to come and understand its true meaning. But the library, with its endless halls and forgotten knowledge, is no longer a place to be explored. Its secrets are meant to remain hidden, its wisdom locked away until the world is ready to listen. The final reflection settles in soft uncertainty. The library stands still in the silence, its knowledge held in the very stones, in the air, in the roots that have grown deep into its walls. Perhaps it was never meant to be found, this scroll, this sacred knowledge. Perhaps some mysteries are meant to be felt, not understood, held in the silence between breaths, in the quiet hum of the earth. The library waits, its secrets still buried beneath the roots, beneath the sands, waiting for the world to listen when the time is right. The forgotten gods of the silent island, off the coast, where the sea stretches endlessly into the horizon, there lies an island, veiled in mist, untouched by time, and forgotten by all but the ocean itself. It is an island of silence, where the wind whispers through the trees and the waves break softly upon the shore as if the earth itself is holding its breath. This island, though secluded and hidden, once held great power. Its shores were once walked by those who believed in gods that no longer speak, and temples were built in their honor. Temples now abandoned, their stone walls crumbled, their idols broken, and their altars emptied of offerings. Yet the island remains, a land of memory, its sacredness still carried in the quiet hum of the earth. The journey begins at the water's edge, where the ocean meets the shore in a soft murmur. The air is thick with the scent of salt and earth, and the sky above is painted with the colors of dusk, the sun slipping away like a fading ember. The island is not large, but it is dense with jungle, with towering trees whose branches reach out like ancient arms, protecting the land, keeping it hidden from the outside world. The wind carries with it a faint song, perhaps the call of a bird, perhaps something more, a voice from the past carried on the breath of the earth. It is said that the islanders who once lived here were not merely humans, but people touched by the divine. They believed that the gods of the sea, of the wind, and of the earth walked among them, guiding them, teaching them, giving them the knowledge to live in harmony with the world. The island was not a place of simple existence, but a sanctuary where the boundaries between the earthly and the divine were thin, a place where the gods were not distant, but near, living in the rocks, the trees, the ocean, and the sky. The people built their temples to honor these gods, to keep the connection alive, and to ensure that the divine light would continue to shine upon them. As you step further into the island, the jungle closes in around you. The path is narrow, but there is an energy here, a quiet pull, as if the island itself is guiding you, urging you forward. The trees are thick with vines, their trunks covered in moss, their leaves whispering softly in the wind. The deeper you go, the more you begin to feel that the island is alive, not in the way of the world, but in a deeper, more spiritual sense. It is as though the land itself remembers, as if it holds the echoes of the gods that once walked here. The air is heavy with this presence, as if the island is holding a secret that has been buried beneath layers of time and silence, waiting for someone to remember. In the heart of the island lies the remains of a temple, now nearly reclaimed by nature. The stone pillars that once held the roof of the sacred space now stand like ancient sentinels, their surfaces worn by the elements. The carvings on the stone walls are faded, their intricate patterns obscured by moss and vines, but still, traces of the gods can be seen. Some of the images depict figures, gods of the sea, with faces like the waves, their eyes wide with the wisdom of the deep. Others show gods of the wind, their forms swirling in patterns that mimic the gusts of air that sweep through the island. And still, others depict gods of the earth, their bodies intertwined with trees, their hands touching the soil that once nurtured the people who worshipped here. As you move deeper into the temple, the silence becomes more profound. The space is still, untouched by the sounds of the outside world, as though the temple is a place apart, a sacred place, preserved in time, waiting for the right moment to reveal its secrets. The altar, once the focal point of offerings, now lies empty, its surface worn smooth by the hands that once placed their gifts upon it. The air is thick with the weight of what was, of the prayers and rituals that once filled this space, of the reverence that once permeated every corner of the temple. What happened to the gods of this island? What caused them to fade from the hearts of the people, to leave their sacred space abandoned, their temples crumbled into dust? Some say that the gods withdrew from the island, their presence fading as the people began to forget their connection to the divine. Others whisper of a great event, a shift in the winds, a divine reckoning that caused the gods to leave, their power diminished by the actions of mortals who no longer understood their sacred role in the world. Perhaps in the end, it was not the gods who left, but the people who stopped listening, stopped feeling the divine in the wind, in the ocean, in the trees. As you stand in the ruins of the temple, you feel the weight of the silence press in around you. The air is thick with mystery, with the unanswered questions that linger in the space between the stones. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood. This island, these gods, the purpose of the temple, perhaps some mysteries are meant to remain hidden, buried beneath the earth, carried away by the winds, waiting to be uncovered only by those who are ready to listen. And as the sun sets, casting long shadows over the crumbling stone, the island seems to hold its breath. The sounds of the jungle fade, the wind quiets, and all that remains is the faint rustle of leaves and the soft murmur of the waves against the shore. The gods are gone, their voices lost to the silence of the island, but their presence remains, woven into the very fabric of the land, the trees, the water, and the sky. Some believe that the gods are not gone, only waiting for those who are ready to listen once more, to hear the song of the island and the divine. Perhaps the secrets of the island will remain buried forever, locked in the silence, carried on the wind. Perhaps some voices only echo when we are ready to hear them. For now, the island stands quiet, its sacredness fading into the night, but always present, always waiting. The hollow tombs of the lost kings. In a remote valley, hidden deep beneath jagged mountain peaks, there lies a series of tombs, ancient, forgotten, and abandoned. These tombs, though weathered by centuries of neglect, once held the remains of kings whose names were whispered in reverence across the lands they ruled. But now, these rulers rest in silence, their stories lost to the winds, their reigns swallowed by the passage of time. The valley, though lush with wildflowers and the hum of unseen creatures, holds an emptiness, a quiet sorrow for what has been forgotten. The journey begins as you step into the shadow of the valley, the air thick with the scent of damp stone and the distant sound of water trickling down from the mountain peaks. It is said that the kings buried here were not just men, but gods among mortals, their power so immense that their very presence shaped the earth. Their tombs, grand and elaborate, were meant to be more than just resting places. They were sanctuaries, chambers carved from the heart of the mountain itself, meant to preserve the king's power, to hold their essence in sacred stone. These tombs were not simple graves, but monuments to the divine, constructed with the belief that the kings would transcend death and continue to watch over the land they had ruled. But as the centuries passed, the valley fell silent, and the tombs were forgotten. Their once sacred walls, now cracked, their treasures plundered, their symbols eroded by the steady passage of time. The air here is thick with the weight of history, each step taken on the worn path, leading deeper into the valley, carrying you further into a forgotten past. The landscape seems to hold a breath. The wind hardly stirs. The trees stand like silent sentinels, and the tombs themselves rise like ancient mountains, their outlines barely visible beneath the cover of vines and moss. The stone that once gleamed with intricate carvings now wears the marks of age, faded, cracked, covered in the dust of forgotten millennia. And yet, despite their dilapidated state, the tombs still possess a quiet grandeur, the echoes of their former splendor reverberating softly in the stillness of the valley. As you approach the first tomb, the sense of reverence deepens, as though the very air around you is thick with the memory of the kings who once lay here. The tombs are shaped like great stone mounds, their entrances veiled by stone doors, worn by centuries of neglect, but still resolute in their place. The walls of the tombs are carved with symbols: the image of a king, crowned, seated upon a throne, surrounded by gods and celestial bodies, their hands raised to the heavens. The symbolism is rich, depicting the king not just as a mortal ruler, but as a divine figure, a connection between the heavens and the earth. What stories these walls once told, what rituals, what ceremonies were performed in the shadow of these stone figures, as the people offered their tribute to the kings they believed to be gods. Inside the tomb, the air is cooler, darker, as though the space holds a breath of its own. Trapped in the stillness of time, the walls are etched with the history of the kings, victories, sacrifices, divine messages passed down through generations. But now, only silence remains. The treasures once placed here, gold, jewels, and relics of the kingdom, have long since been taken, leaving only the hollow shell of what was once sacred. The tomb is empty, its treasures looted, its purpose lost. Yet still, there is something profound in the emptiness, something that holds the weight of centuries of reverence. The kings may have been forgotten, their names erased from the scrolls of history, but their presence remains in the stone, in the carvings, in the air thick with what was. As you walk further into the tomb, the silence deepens. It is as if the tomb itself is listening, waiting for something, a visitor, a seeker, someone ready to listen to its story. Perhaps the kings are not truly gone. Perhaps they never left, their spirit still lingering within these walls, their power still coursing through the earth. But the tombs, now hollow and empty, do not offer answers. Instead, they present a question. What happened to these kings? What caused their civilization to fade into the past, to be lost to the sands of time? Some believe that the kings fell to war, that their empire crumbled beneath the weight of its own power. Others whisper that a divine reckoning came, that the gods turned their gaze away from the kings and left them to fall into ruin. Perhaps it is said the kings withdrew into themselves, choosing to leave the world behind, retreating into the tombs as a symbol of their eternal reign. The mystery is not just in their disappearance, but in the silence they left behind. The tombs, though abandoned, still hold a presence, one that cannot be touched, one that cannot be explained. The kings may no longer walk the earth, but their memory remains etched in the stone, in the silence of the tombs, in the mystery of what they left behind. As you leave the tomb, the quiet of the valley wraps around you once more, and you are left with the question that lingers in the air. What is it that the kings sought in the afterlife? Was it immortality or peace? Or was it simply the desire to be remembered, to have their names carried on in the whispers of the wind, in the carvings on the walls? The tombs remain, their silence eternal, holding the secrets of the kings and the empire they once ruled. Perhaps these secrets were never meant to be fully understood, but only to be felt in the stillness, in the hollow spaces that remain. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen, and the tombs, though empty, continue to speak in the silence, waiting for the world to remember. The crumbled gates of the eternal kingdom, in the distant folds of forgotten lands, where the earth's pulse seems to slow and the sky stretches endlessly, there once stood a kingdom, its gates grand and wide, opening to a realm of immense power. Its walls, strong and magnificent, stood as a testament to the might of a people who believed their empire would last forever. But now, the gates are crumbled, their stones worn and broken by time, and the once proud walls are now nothing more than memories, buried beneath the weight of centuries. The kingdom has fallen, its rulers lost to history, but its echoes remain, carried in the quiet breeze that sweeps across the ruins, carried in the soft murmur of the earth itself. The journey begins with the faintest stir of the wind as it moves through the broken pillars and the dust of what was once the kingdom's grand entrance. The gates, once towering and impenetrable, now lie in ruin, their frames half buried in the earth, as though the land itself seeks to reclaim what was once built upon it. The surrounding landscape, though still beautiful, feels heavy, thick with the presence of the past. The silence is profound, the weight of history pressing against the air like a forgotten breath. It is said that the kingdom, now lost to time, was a place of great prosperity and power. Its rulers were not mere kings, but divinely chosen figures whose right to rule was said to have been granted by the gods themselves. The gates that once guarded the city were not just physical barriers, but sacred thresholds, designed to keep out the forces of darkness, to protect the kingdom from invaders and from time itself. The very architecture of the city was built with the stars in mind, its temples aligned with the heavens, its walls adorned with celestial symbols. Those who entered the kingdom were said to have entered a place where the divine and the mortal realms met, a place where the power of the gods was felt in every stone, in every breath of the air. As you walk through the ruins, the remnants of the gates stand like silent sentinels, their once strong stone now crumbled and covered in the soft embrace of moss. The intricate carvings, once sharp and vivid, are now worn and faint, but still trace the outline of gods, of stars, and of powerful rituals. The gates, though broken, still seem to hold an energy, a faint hum, as though they remember their purpose. What was lost when the kingdom fell? What secrets lay within the walls that now only stand as faint shadows in the moonlight? The path through the ruins is overgrown, the stones beneath your feet uneven and cracked. The once grand entrance now hidden beneath the weight of the earth, and the forest that has taken root in the kingdom's heart. The kingdom's heart, the temple, lies further ahead, its outline barely visible through the dense underbrush. Once, it was the center of all activity, a place where rituals were performed to honor the gods, where the divine was invoked in the hopes of securing prosperity and peace. But now, the temple is a mere shadow of its former self. Its grand halls now filled with silence, its stone walls crumbling under the weight of time. As you approach the temple, you feel the quiet reverence of the place. Even in ruin, the sense of something sacred lingers in the air. The architecture, though worn and faded, still holds a grace, as if the temple was never meant to be fully of this world, but a place that existed between the heavens and the earth. The remnants of carvings are visible on the walls. Gods once worshipped here, now only faintly remembered in the worn stone, their names whispered by the wind that cuts through the open, empty space. Perhaps the temple was built not just to house the gods, but to house the soul of the kingdom itself, its heart, its breath, its soul. Yet, despite the beauty of the temple, an unsettling question lingers. What caused this kingdom to fall? What force was powerful enough to undo what was believed to be eternal? Some say it was a divine reckoning, the gods withdrawing their favor from the kingdom for reasons unknown, or perhaps the gods themselves caused its fall as a test, a reminder that no empire, no matter how grand, is beyond the touch of time. Others believe that it was the gradual erosion of the very ideals that built the kingdom: pride, arrogance, a refusal to acknowledge the passage of time. Or perhaps it was a combination of both, a divine intervention and the slow, inevitable pull of decay that claimed this once immense place. As you walk through the empty halls, you sense that the answers are not easily found. The gates may be crumbled, the temples may be in ruin, but the kingdom's legacy remains in the stones, in the silence, in the very air you breathe. The kingdom, though lost, has not disappeared entirely. It lives on in the mysteries of the ruins, in the faint echo of its former grandeur, in the memory of those who once walked its streets. Its greatness may have faded, but its story lingers, waiting to be discovered, waiting for someone to listen. The final reflection comes softly as you stand at the edge of the kingdom, where the ruins fade into the wild growth of the forest. Perhaps some places, some kingdoms, are never meant to last. Perhaps their purpose was not to endure, but to leave behind a memory, a lesson hidden in the silence. The gates may be broken, the temple may be empty, but the kingdom's story continues to echo through the earth. Perhaps it was never meant to be fully understood, this kingdom, its rise and fall, its grandeur, and its loss. Perhaps some mysteries are only meant to be felt, as a soft hum in the air, as a breath that lingers long after it has passed, and as the moon climbs higher, casting its gentle light over the forgotten gates and the ruins of the kingdom, you leave the place behind, the air still, the silence deep. The legacy of the kingdom is carried with you, not in knowledge, but in the quiet reverence of its memory, its story continuing to unfold in the spaces between the stars, in the whispers of the wind, waiting for the world to listen when the time is right. The lightless chamber of the forgotten altar. In the deep, forgotten recesses of an ancient temple, where the darkness holds dominion and the air is thick with age, there lies a chamber, its entrance obscured, its presence concealed by the weight of centuries. This chamber is unlike any other, for it holds an altar that once served as a bridge between the human and the divine. The temple, now crumbled and shrouded in shadow, seems to have forgotten its purpose, yet within its walls, the altar waits, still holding the echoes of prayers once whispered in reverence. No light enters this chamber, save for the faint flicker of memories that linger in the stillness. It is as if the altar itself has absorbed the essence of those who once sought solace in its presence, and now, in the deep shadows, it holds the mystery of a lost connection. The journey begins as you step into the temple's darkened halls, the air thick with dust, the scent of old stone filling your senses. The walls, once decorated with intricate carvings of gods and divine symbols, now stand worn, their beauty hidden beneath the veil of time's embrace. The path ahead is narrow, winding through the darkened corridors, where each step feels like an intrusion upon a place that has been forgotten, a place where time itself has paused, holding its breath in reverence to the altar that lies ahead. The silence is profound, broken only by the distant echo of your footsteps, as if the temple itself is listening, waiting. It is said that this altar was created not by mere hands, but by those who believed it could summon the divine, a sacred space where mortal beings could commune with the gods. The altar was not meant for ordinary offerings, but for something far more sacred, a connection between the realms, a bridge between the earthly and the celestial. The temple was built around it, its walls adorned with symbols that spoke of stars and skies, of earth and water, of the eternal cycle that connects all living things. Those who came to the altar were not simply seeking blessings, but understanding. They came to touch the divine, to understand the mysteries of life and death, to glimpse the eternal truths that lay beyond the veil. As you approach the chamber, the silence grows thicker, the darkness deeper. There is no light here, save for the soft, ethereal glow of memory, as though the air itself holds the faintest trace of the altar's once sacred energy. The chamber is cool, its stone walls covered in the moss of time. The floor beneath your feet is uneven, worn smooth by the passage of those who once knelt here, offering their prayers. And there, at the center of the chamber, lies the altar, its surface dark, untouched by the light of day. It is shaped from ancient stone, worn by centuries of use, its edges rounded and softened by the reverence with which it was once treated. Though it has been left alone for countless years, the altar holds a presence, a weight, a quiet gravity that draws you toward it. The altar itself is empty, its once sacred purpose now a distant memory. The offerings that were once placed upon it, incense, flowers, sacred oils, are gone, scattered to the winds, lost to time. Yet, as you stand before it, you feel the pull of something greater, something beyond the physical. The air around the altar seems to hum, a soft vibration that resonates in your very soul, as though the altar itself still carries the power it once held. Some say that even now, it holds the power to connect the realms, to bridge the gap between the living and the divine, waiting for someone pure of heart to come and restore its sacred purpose. But as you stand before the altar, The mystery deepens. What happened to the worshippers who once knelt here? What caused this temple, this sacred space, to fall into ruin? Some believe that the gods withdrew from this place, that the altar was abandoned because the connection was lost, the people no longer capable of understanding the divine language. Others whisper that the altar was never meant to last forever, that it was only ever a fleeting moment in time, a sacred moment that was never meant to be fully understood, but only experienced. Perhaps the altar's true purpose was never to be used by the many, but by the few, those who could hear its call, those who were ready to listen to the divine whispers that echoed in its silence. The chamber grows colder, the darkness heavier as you linger before the altar, the air thick with the weight of the unanswered questions. Perhaps some answers are never meant to be found. Perhaps some mysteries are meant to remain in the shadows, where the light cannot touch them. The altar, though empty, still holds the presence of something greater, something divine, something eternal, waiting for the right soul to come and restore the connection that once existed here. The silence in the chamber is absolute, the air heavy with the power of what was. As you stand there, surrounded by the dark stone, the faintest flicker of light dances in the corner of your mind. A memory, a vision, a whisper from the past. Some say that the altar's light never truly faded, that it still burns, waiting for the moment when the world is ready to remember. Perhaps it is not the altar itself that is important, but the space it holds, the space between the mortal and the divine, between what is known and what is not. As the chapter closes, the chamber falls back into complete darkness. The altar, though empty, still stands at the center, waiting for the world to remember, for the right soul to come and understand the truth that lies in the silence. Some mysteries are never meant to be fully solved, but only to be felt, experienced in the quiet depths of the heart. And as you leave the temple, stepping back into the world above, you carry with you the quiet hum of the altar, the power of its forgotten purpose. Lingering in the stillness of your mind, the chamber fades into silence once more, but its mystery remains, forever waiting, like the altar itself, for someone to listen. The eternal bridge of the lost civilization, at the farthest reaches of the known world, where the land touches the edge of the sea and the sky stretches into infinity, there lies a bridge that once connected two great lands, uniting civilizations, cultures, and knowledge. Now, the bridge stands empty, its stone arches broken and weathered, its once sturdy structure crumbling under the weight of time. Yet, though the bridge lies abandoned, it holds an eternal presence, a quiet majesty that speaks of a time when it was the lifeline between two great worlds. It is said that this bridge was not just a crossing, but a symbol, a pathway between the earthly and the divine, between the material world and the mysteries of the cosmos. The journey begins as the wind shifts, carrying the scent of salt and earth from the far-off sea. The air feels different here, cooler, heavier, as though the land itself has paused, waiting for something to be remembered. The bridge, though distant, rises above the landscape, its once proud arches now broken and eroded by centuries of storms. Yet it remains, its stone framework still standing, reaching toward the horizon, a bridge that once connected two distant shores, two cultures that flourished side by side. As you walk toward the bridge, the landscape changes around you. The land is barren here, marked by the fading traces of a great civilization, whose ruins lie scattered like forgotten memories across the earth. The wind howls through the broken stones, carrying with it the faintest whispers of the past, the voices of those who once crossed this bridge, who once walked its length with purpose, with faith. The stones beneath your feet are worn smooth, their surface shaped by the feet of countless travelers who crossed this bridge, each step a journey in itself, each crossing a passage from one world to another. It is said that the bridge was not just a physical structure, but a spiritual one, that its purpose was to unite two great civilizations, to bring them together in a shared understanding of the divine. The bridge was built by the ancients, those who believed that the earth, the stars, and the heavens were all connected, that there was no separation between the worlds of men and the gods. The bridge was not merely a crossing between two shores, but a pathway to enlightenment, to the divine. It was believed that by crossing the bridge, one could not only reach the other side, but could touch the divine, could glimpse the mysteries of the universe that lay beyond the earthly realm. As you stand before the bridge, you feel its weight, its power, as though it is still alive, still holding the memory of its once sacred purpose. The stone is cold beneath your fingertips, its surface worn by the elements, but still strong, still holding its form. The arches that once reached high above the land now sag, their once proud structure broken, but they still hold a quiet beauty, a grace that speaks of a time long past, a time when the bridge was whole, when it was a symbol of connection between two worlds. Some believe that this bridge, though forgotten by the people who once built it, is still waiting, waiting for someone to cross, to rediscover its purpose, to reconnect the two worlds it once united. As you move across the bridge, the silence deepens, and the world around you seems to shift. The air grows cooler, the land more barren, as though the bridge exists in a space apart from time, from the world above. There is no sound here, no movement, only the soft echo of your footsteps as you walk across the stone. The bridge feels both eternal and fragile, a connection between two worlds that is at once timeless and on the verge of vanishing. The stones beneath you seem to hum with energy, as though the bridge itself is not just a structure, but a living being, a living memory of all that was once held within its arches. What happened to the civilization that built this bridge? What caused the great connection between these two worlds to fade, to be lost to time? Some believe that the bridge was not simply abandoned, but destroyed, that the connection it once offered was severed by forces beyond mortal understanding. Perhaps the people who once walked across it simply faded away, leaving behind only the bridge as a testament to their existence, to their belief in the divine. Others whisper that the gods themselves withdrew their favor, and the bridge fell into ruin as a result, its once sacred purpose forgotten by all but the earth. As you cross the bridge, the land on the other side remains hidden in the distance, as though the journey is not just a crossing of a physical space, but a passage of the spirit, a journey into the unknown, into the mysteries that lie beyond. The wind picks up, the shadows of the broken arches stretching long across the stone, as though the bridge itself is beckoning you forward, urging you to uncover the secret it holds, to find the connection that once linked these two distant worlds. Perhaps the bridge was never meant to be fully understood. For some things, it seems are meant to remain mysteries, held in the silence of the land, waiting for those who are ready to listen. Some bridges, it seems, are not built to last forever, but to be a brief connection, a fleeting moment in time when the worlds of man and the divine align, only to fade when the time is right. As you reach the end of the bridge, the land beyond remains shrouded in mist, distant, unreachable. The ruins on either side seem to disappear into the fog, their outlines blurred, as if they are slipping away from the memory of the earth. The bridge stands in silence, its arches crumbling, its purpose forgotten, yet still there, a relic of a past civilization, a connection to something greater, something divine, that once crossed the span of time, only to be lost in the vastness of the world. The wind stirs once more, carrying with it the quiet hum of the past. The bridge, though broken and forgotten, still holds the secret of what was once sacred, what was once believed. The story of the lost civilization, of the eternal bridge, fades softly into the night, like the last note of a song carried on the wind. Perhaps like the bridge itself, some things are not meant to be fully known, but only to be felt. A connection, a fleeting moment of understanding that exists between the stars, in the silence between the waves, and in the stone beneath your feet. And as you leave the bridge behind, the ocean's hum still in your heart, you wonder, what lies beyond the mist? What truth lies in the forgotten ruins? Perhaps the eternal bridge will never be fully crossed, but its memory will linger, carried by the winds, waiting for the moment when the world is ready to remember. Some mysteries only echo when we are ready to listen. The silent pillars of the forgotten temple, beneath the dense canopy of an ancient, untouched forest, where the sunlight barely reaches the ground and the air is thick with the scent of moss and earth, there stands a temple, not of grand spires or towering walls, but of silence. This temple, though no longer whole, is made of stone so old it has become one with the land itself. Time has not eroded its power, but rather has shrouded it in mystery, as though the temple was always meant to be hidden, only to be uncovered when the world was ready to remember. The pillars, now crumbled and worn, still rise from the earth like sentinels of forgotten times. They stand, silent and unmoving, their surfaces worn by centuries of rain, wind, and the slow creep of ivy, yet they still hold the weight of a lost legacy. The journey begins as you step onto the path, the earth soft beneath your feet, the sound of your movements muffled by the thick undergrowth. The forest around you is alive with sounds, the distant call of birds, the rustling of leaves, the gentle hum of insects, but the temple remains untouched by the world beyond its boundaries. As you move deeper into the forest, the trees grow thicker, their trunks twisted and gnarled, their roots weaving through the earth like veins. The way ahead is narrow, nearly concealed beneath layers of vines and moss, but the pull toward the temple is undeniable. Each step you take draws you further into a past long forgotten, into the heart of the forest where memory and stone intertwine. It is said that the temple, though now a mere shadow of what it once was built to honor the gods, not gods of war or conquest, but gods of peace, of silence, and of the eternal balance between life and death. The people who built this temple believed that in stillness, in quiet reverence, they could connect with the divine. The pillars that rise from the earth were not just stone, but conduits, channels through which the gods could communicate, through which the forces of nature could be understood. The temple was not merely a place of worship, but a space where the soul could find peace, where one could hear the whispers of the universe, where silence itself was revered as a sacred form of communication. As you approach the temple, its silhouette becomes clearer against the backdrop of the dense forest. The pillars, though cracked and weathered, still stand tall, their edges softened by time, yet their presence is commanding, as if they are reaching toward something, toward the sky, toward the stars, toward the divine. The stone beneath your feet is uneven, worn smooth by countless footsteps, the remnants of those who once came to seek guidance, to offer prayers in silence. But now, the temple is still, the air around it heavy with the weight of what has been lost, what has faded into the quiet, forgotten corners of the earth. The further you move into the temple, the more the air seems to thrum with energy, subtle, almost imperceptible vibration, as though the stones themselves are alive, still holding the memory of the rituals that once took place here. The carvings on the pillars are faint, but still visible in the soft moonlight that filters through the canopy above. Some depict gods with serene faces, their eyes closed in quiet contemplation, while others show symbols of nature, the sun, the moon, the stars, intertwined with patterns of leaves and vines, as though the very forces of life were reflected in the stone. The walls, though cracked, still hold traces of the divine, the energy of a forgotten time, a time when the temple was a living thing, when it was filled with voices that spoke not in words, but in the silent reverence of those who sought to understand the mysteries of the world. But the temple is no longer filled with voices. The altar, once the heart of the temple, is empty now, its surface worn by the touch of countless hands. The offerings that once adorned it, flowers, incense, sacred oils, are gone, lost to time and decay. And yet, there is still a sacredness here, a presence that lingers in the silence, that echoes in the soft rustle of the leaves, in the quiet hum of the earth beneath your feet. Some believe that the temple was never meant to be fully understood, that it was not a place of worship in the traditional sense, but a space of communion, a place where the soul could listen, could hear the divine in the silence of nature. As you move through the heart of the temple, the silence deepens, the air grows cooler, the shadows grow longer, and the space around you feels sacred, not because of the grandeur of the stone, but because of the stillness that fills the space. Here, in the quiet, the temple's true purpose becomes clear. It was not meant to be a place of noise or ritual, but a place of reflection, a space where the gods spoke through the silence, where the universe whispered its secrets to those who could hear. Perhaps the true essence of the temple was never in what was said, but in what was not, in the quiet space between the breath, in the space where words could not reach, but where the soul could understand. The journey through the temple ends, not with an answer, but with a question that lingers in the air, like the last note of a song, fading into the silence. What was the true purpose of this place? Was it to honor the gods? To connect with the divine? Or was it simply a space to listen, to hear the whispers of the universe that are always present, always waiting to be understood? The pillars, though crumbled, still stand, their presence quiet but undeniable, as though they are waiting for someone to come and listen once more, to hear the sacredness in the silence. As you step away from the temple and into the forest once more, the air feels different, lighter, quieter, as though the very earth is holding its breath. as though it too is waiting. The temple, though abandoned, remains. Its story is not one of grandeur, but of stillness, of silent reverence for the forces of the universe that are always present, always waiting. Perhaps some places are not meant to be fully understood, but only experienced, felt in the quiet hum of the earth, in the silence of the stones, in the space between the stars. The temple waits, as it always has, for someone to listen, to hear the divine in the stillness, and to understand that some knowledge is not found in words, but in silence. And as you walk away, the temple fades into the forest, its pillars standing tall against the night sky, waiting for the world to remember. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. Perhaps the temple's story will never be fully told, but in the silence, in the space between the stones, its secrets remain, waiting for someone to hear.